The game of football has had many great goal scorers, but there are perhaps few as underappreciated as Josef Bican. Bican was an Austrian-Czech forward who scored an incredible amount of goals, netting hundreds upon hundreds over a career spanning well over 20 years, with more strikes than the likes of Gerd Muller, Eusebio and Robert Lewandowski. This is a story of Josef Bican, the goal machine. Josef Bican was born in Vienna, Austria-Hungary on the 25th of September 1913. His Czech father, František, was also a footballer who played for Hertha Vienna, but died at the age of 30 after his kidney became infected from an injury he sustained in a football match. The combination of his father's death and the outbreak of World War I saw Bican and his family thrust into poverty. His mother could not afford to buy him shoes, and so he would often play barefoot with a bundle of rags in place of a ball. Hertha Vienna initially helped the family out, but as their support faded, Bican's mother Ludmilla worked frantically to provide for her children. She would often get up at 4 a.m. for work, and sometimes not be home until midnight. Whilst she worked, Josef and the fellow boys in his neighbourhood would play football from sunrise to sunset. Further tragedy struck when Josef's older brother, František Jr., took his own life, aged 17. Ludmilla, failing to cope with grief, sent Josef to live with his grandparents. Josef Bican began working at a flooring factory and had himself started playing in the youth team at Hertha Vienna. He would be coached by players who played alongside his father, and despite his short height, he quickly impressed with his scoring ability. He was told he would get a shilling every time he scored a goal, and he would go on to score 2 in his first match. He moved to the youth team of Austrian-Czech, and it is said that during one game, Josef's mother beat up an opposition player with an umbrella after she was unhappy with a challenge he made on her son. He would later be offered a chance to play for Rapid Vienna. On his debut for the youth team, he scored 7 times and continued rising through the ranks, continuing to score goals for fun. Soon, he would have his big chance. He made his debut for Rapid Vienna against Austria-Vienna, a side who his hero Matthias Sindelar played for. Bican proved he was a force to be reckoned with, as he netted 4 times in a 5-3 victory. He scored 13 goals in 11 games in his first season, and also received his first call-up to the Austrian national team. He continued scoring for fun, and would be on the biggest stage of all for the 1934 World Cup. Austria, under the management of Hugo Meisel, were known as the Wunder team, and went into the tournament as one of the favourites. They were known for their quick passing play and early style of total football, having thrashed several teams building up to the tournament. Bican netted in a victory over France, and a win over Hungary took them to the semi-finals. However, they would lose to hosts Italy in a controversial affair, with suspicions of biased refereeing. Austria's dream of a World Cup was over. However, Bican had his first honour the next year, as Rapid won the Austrian League, but he was absent for a great deal of it as he went on strike after refusing to sign a new contract. His uncle had tried to negotiate a deal with city rivals Admira Vienna, the biggest side in Austria at the time, but Rapid refused to release Bican. He did eventually get his wish, and left Rapid having scored 201 goals in 156 games. He spent 2 seasons at Admira Vienna, winning the league in both campaigns. He chose to leave Austria, with Hitler's presence growing ever stronger, and moved to his father's nation of Czechoslovakia to sign for Slavia Prague. This would be his home for the next 11 years. He netted 30 goals in his first season at the club, winning them the Mitropa Cup, a predecessor to the European Cup. Czech football would continue in spite of the Second World War, and the conflict did nothing to stop Bican's exploits. He hit 41 goals overall in his second season, and 41 in his third. He had applied for Czech citizenship, which he hoped would take him to the 1938 World Cup, but an administrative error saw his application rejected. He finally won the Czech League in 1940, the first of 2 seasons in a row that he would net 56 times in all competitions. He made it a double with the Czechoslav Cup and the League the next season, and they won another double the next campaign and a 4th straight league title the campaign after. The fact he was ambidextrous with his feet helped hugely, and spectators said they felt Bican would miss only 1 of 20 chances. Fans often came to watch his training sessions, where he would place bottles on the crossbar and successfully hit them all with the ball. His pace was phenomenal too, with it being said that he could run 100 metres in just over 10 seconds. His exploits continued, with him netting a personal best of 76 goals in the 43-44 season, and he would add 2 more Czech League titles to his tally. However, the fallout following the war would see his time at Slavia Prague come to an end. Bican, a high-profile celebrity in Czechoslovakia, lived the high life, often playing tennis and dining with the country's celebrities. The rise of communism in Czechoslovakia horrified Bican, as he had worked hard to find his way out of poverty, and was terrified of losing everything he had earned through the game. The communist government saw Bican as an icon of the bourgeoisie, and were keen to defame him. Bican moved to steelwork side Vico-Vice to enhance his reputation with the authorities as a worker, but still had trouble with the authorities, and returned to Prague after they forced him to move. He returned to Slavia Prague, now known as Dynamo Prague, before he retired in 1955 at the age of 42. It is said he scored 427 goals in 221 games for Slavia Prague overall. He had a number of roles as a coach, but seeked little fame about his goal-scoring exploits, saying that few would believe he had figures similar to Pele's. Towards the end of his life, he was interviewed about his goal-scoring, and said in reference to claims that scoring was easier in his day, that scoring a goal was the same thing 100 years before, and will be the same thing 100 years after. Josef Bican died on the 12th of December 2001 at the age of 88. 12 years on, for what would have been his 100th birthday, Slavia Prague celebrated his life, with banners commemorating him, including one of Chuck Norris stating only Bican scored more goals than me. According to the International Federation of Football History and Statistics, Josef Bican scored 722 goals overall, whilst the Rex Sports Soccer Statistics Foundation ranks him as the second highest scorer of all time with 950 goals. Josef Bican remains one of the greatest scorers in the game's history, but also a man tragically overlooked. For all the skeptics who say the game was easier in his day, he managed to reach these figures coming from poverty and playing with rags, without the technology, scouting and data modern football has to offer. He made his own way to the top, winning trophies and scoring goals for fun, and Josef Bican is without question one of football's greatest ever players.